In this demo, we'll introduce a simplified and more secure approach to permission management in SkyDRM. SkyDRM now streamlines user choices by offering two clear options: full control and no permission. With full control, users are granted all available permissions supported by SkyDRM, enabling complete access and flexibility. On the other hand, no permission ensures zero access to protected content, while still capturing all user activities and audit logs for visibility and compliance. This simplified model not only makes it easier for users to make decisions, but also significantly reduces the complexity of policy creation and ongoing management. In addition, SkyDRM enforces the principle of least privilege as part of a zero-trust architecture. Each permission is assigned a score, and when multiple policies apply, the system automatically selects the one with the lowest score, ensuring users receive only the minimum access necessary. Let's take a closer look at how this works in practice. In this demo, we set the S classification category with confidential label. We configure the following policies for this demo. P1, allow users full control on confidential data. P2, no permission on confidential data. P3, allow users view on confidential data. P4, allow users view on confidential data with expiration. We use Word file type .docs in the demo. Use case 1, full control. SkyDRM admin logs into the admin console and configures the policy allow users full control on confidential data. John Tyler logs into the SkyDRM web app and reviews permissions on a protected file labeled S classification equals confidential. Confirms full control access in file details. Successfully opens and accesses the protected file. Verifies activity log shows access allowed. Let's see the demo. SkyDRM admin begins by logging into the admin console and configuring a policy titled Allow users full control on confidential data. This policy ensures that any file labeled as confidential grants users full control access rights, including all permissions on the protected content. Next, John Tyler logs into the SkyDRM web app to validate the policy in action. He selects a protected file tagged with S classification equals confidential and reviews its permissions. The system correctly reflects that he has full control over the file. John proceeds to open the protected file and is able to access it without any restrictions, confirming that the policy is functioning as intended. Finally, he checks the file's activity log, where the system records his action with a status of access allowed, providing clear audit visibility and compliance tracking. Use case 2, no permission. SkyDRM admin logs into the admin console and deactivates the policy allow users full control on confidential data. He then activates a new policy, no permission on confidential data, ensuring that all access to confidential files is restricted. John Tyler logs into the SkyDRM web app and reviews permissions on a protected file labeled S classification equals confidential. Confirms no permission is applied to the file. Attempts to open the file and is denied access. Verifies the activity log records the action as access denied. In this demo, the SkyDRM admin logs into the admin console and updates the access control policies. The existing policy allow users full control on confidential data is first deactivated. The admin then activates a new policy, no permission on confidential data, which enforces strict access restrictions for all files labeled as confidential. Next, John Tyler logs into the SkyDRM web app to validate the updated policy. He selects a protected file tagged with S classification equals confidential and reviews its permissions. The system correctly shows that he has no permissions on the file. John attempts to open the protected file, but access is denied, as expected under the new policy. Finally, he checks the file's activity log, where the system records the attempt with a status of access denied, ensuring proper auditing and compliance visibility. Use Case 3, Least Privilege. Activating view and full control policies. SkyDRM admin logs into the admin console and deactivates no permission on confidential data. He activates allow users full control on confidential data and allow users view on confidential data. John Tyler logs into the SkyDRM web app and checks a protected file labeled S classification equals confidential. John has view permission. Even though full control has a higher permission score, the view policy takes precedence under the least privilege principle, limiting John's access. Applying expiration-based policy. Admin activates allow users view on confidential data with expiration, granting view access from March 15, 2026, to April 15, 2026. John checks the same file. Now his view permission is limited to the expiration period. 3 policies are evaluated, full control is ignored, and among the 2 view policies, the one with expiration wins, enforcing least privilege with a defined time frame. Reapplying no permission. Admin reactivates no permission on confidential data. John checks the file again. He now has no permission, as this policy has the minimal permission score and overrides all others. John is denied access to the protected file. In this least privilege demo, the SkyDRM admin begins by logging into the admin console and deactivating the policy no permission on confidential data. He then activates 2 policies, allow users full control on confidential data and allow users view on confidential data. John Tyler logs into the SkyDRM web app and checks a protected file labeled S classification equals confidential. Although the full control policy has a higher permission score, the system applies the least privilege principle, and the view policy takes precedence. John is therefore granted view access only. Next, the admin activates a policy allow users view on confidential data with expiration, which grants view access from March 15, 2026, to April 15, 2026. When John checks the same file again, his access is limited to this period. During evaluation, the full control policy is ignored, and the 2 view policies have equal scores. The system chooses the policy with expiration, ensuring controlled, time-bound access. Finally, the admin reactivates no permission on confidential data. John checks the file once more and now has no permission. This policy has the minimal permission score, overrides all others, and denies him access to the protected file. This demonstration highlights how SkyDRM enforces least privilege, balancing multiple policies, time-bound restrictions, and strict access controls to ensure secure and compliant file access. This is the end of the demo.